So, let's talk about something that touches millions of lives but is still so deeply misunderstood: depression. It's so much more than just a word. In this explainer, we're going to get a really clear picture of what depression is and, just as importantly, what it isn't.
Okay, first things first, let's just let this sink in for a second. Depression isn't some rare niche problem. It is the single leading cause of disability in the entire world. That one fact, right there, tells you just how urgent it is that we all understand this better.
And this, right here, is probably one of the most critical distinctions we can make. We all feel sad. Sadness is a part of being human. It comes and goes. But depression, that's different. It's a persistent medical disorder that digs in and seriously disrupts someone's ability to live their life. They are not the same thing.
All right, so here's where we're headed. We're going to go beyond the simple idea of sadness and really explore what it feels like. Then we'll look at the science that proves it's a real medical condition. After that, we'll talk about the pathways to hope, and we'll wrap up with how every single one of us can help.
So let's start here, because we really need to get this. Depression is so much more than just feeling sad. It's a profound shift in a person's entire reality.
To truly get it, we have to go beyond the textbooks and the clinical terms. We need to try and understand the lived experience. What does it actually feel like from the inside?
Well, one of the most painful parts is a thing called anhedonia. It's a bit of a clinical term, but what it means is this. Imagine your favorite song just sounds like noise. Your favorite food tastes like cardboard. The people you love, you feel nothing. It's not just a bad mood. It's like the color has been drained from the world.
And this is why hearing someone say just snap out of it is so frustrating and frankly so damaging. You can't. Depression isn't a choice you're making. It's not a mindset you can just flip a switch on. That's like telling someone with a broken leg to just, walk it off. It doesn't work that way. And that can lead to this crushing guilt. People look at their lives from the outside and think, I have no right to feel this way. I don't have a good enough reason. But here's the thing we have to remember. It's a medical condition. You don't need a reason to get the flu, and you don't need one to have depression.
When you're carrying all that weight, the emptiness, the guilt, just being around other people can feel impossible. It takes so much energy. So this powerful, almost compulsive urge to pull away and self-isolate takes over, even when a part of you knows the connection is exactly what you need.
Okay, so we've talked about the feeling, the internal struggle, but what is actually going on underneath it all? Let's dive into the science, because it's so important to see depression for what it is: a legitimate medical condition with real biological roots. So this is the clinical definition. It's called major depressive disorder, or MDD. And notice the key parts here. It's a disorder that won't go away just because you want it to. It sticks around for at least 2 weeks straight, and it fundamentally gets in the way of your ability to work, to have fun, or to connect with people you love. Now, for a doctor to make a diagnosis, they're looking for a specific pattern. They look for at least 5 of these 9 symptoms over that 2-week period. And here's the crucial part. One of those 5 has to be either that persistent low mood or that loss of pleasure, that anhedonia we talked about earlier.
So what causes it? Well, one of the best ways to think about it is something called the diathesis stress model. Imagine we all have a metaphorical cup. The size of that cup represents our genetic vulnerability. Life, stressful events, trauma, pours water into the cup. For some people, the cup is just smaller, or maybe it's already half full from past experiences. A new stressor can cause that cup to overflow, and that's when a depressive episode can be triggered.
And this isn't just an abstract idea. We can literally see the physical fingerprints of depression on the brain. We see changes in brain structure, like smaller frontal lobes. We see abnormal activity with neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, issues with stress hormones, and even disruptions to our body's internal clock. This is the biology behind the struggle. It is a biological illness.
Okay, we've talked about how serious this is, but now we're going to shift to the most important part of this entire conversation, the pathways to hope. Because depression is absolutely treatable, and there are so many effective ways to manage it. Now, the thing about treatment is there's no magic bullet. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. The best approach is usually a combination of things, like building a toolkit. It often involves talk therapy, sometimes medication, important lifestyle changes, and other holistic practices that support your whole well-being.
And that really brings us to this powerful idea of the mind-body connection. Holistic practices can play a huge, supportive role in managing your mental health.
And we're not talking about massive, overwhelming changes here. We're talking about simple, powerful tools. Things like specific breathing exercises to calm your nervous system, or taking 2 minutes to write down something you're grateful for. These small things, done consistently, can make a huge cumulative difference.
But maybe the most crucial thing to understand is that recovery rarely happens in a vacuum. The final essential piece of this puzzle is community. It's friends, it's family, it's all of us. We all have a role to play.
So if you know someone who's struggling, what can you actually do? Well, here's the game plan. Gently encourage them to get help, but also offer specific help. Like, hey, can I help you look up some therapists? Remind them it's an illness, not a character flaw. And please, avoid saying, I know how you feel because I was sad once. It's not the same. And finally, and this one is so important, don't be afraid to talk openly. Asking someone directly if they're thinking about suicide does not plant the idea. All the research shows it actually reduces their risk.
And for anyone out there who is in the thick of it, it's about learning to see the small victories for what they are. Huge wins. Getting out of bed, that's a win. Taking a shower, that's a win. And as this quote says so beautifully, those moments, they become the good days. They're the days that remind you why you have to keep fighting.
So we end on this question, because understanding all of this is the first step, but taking action is what really matters. How can we, together, create a world where no one has to struggle in silence? It starts with talking, listening, and fighting that stigma, so asking for help becomes as normal as getting a cast for a broken arm.